You're on. And when you speak, you're supposed to speak into the microphone because it goes right into our recording system.
What works?
So I am going to call this meeting to order on September 9th, 2021 at 6:05. If we can have a roll call from the clerk.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's okay.
I didn't. Where's the list? Hold on. I have something upstairs.
I can do the roll call.
Name, please.
Okay, let me just do it. Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Loretta Robinson? Here. Mr. Eric Morset?
Me?
Renisha McNeil? Here. And Ms. Chanel Brown?
Here.
Okay, the only person that's missing is Ms. Charissa Colon. Thank you all.
Thank you. So if we can have the presentation on the screen, go to the next slide. Do the Adobe on the bottom. Oh, there you go. Okay, so this is, as I mentioned, the first meeting in a while for the town. We have all new members on the board, so this is a great opportunity to do this type of workshop. Hopefully you all will stick with the board for a while, and as new members, if we do circulate new members on and off, we'll do this as needed. So the first item on the agenda, 2.1, is the introduction of the Planning and Zoning Board members. So if we'll start with you, Renisha, and if you'd like to just introduce yourself, I would suggest a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, what part of town you live in, as well as what you do and what your interests are. Just really quick, and use the microphone.
We'll work together on this.
It goes into their system. You're perfect.
My name is Renisha McNeil. I live in Pembroke Park. It's kind of like Hollandale still, on South Park Road. I am a teacher assistant with Broward County Schools. I'm in school for social work, and I'm Jamaican.
Great.
I'm Eric Morissette. I'm a little bit of a mixed nationality. I was born in Canada, but I'm a Danish citizen and an American citizen. And I lived in 5 different countries. I live now here in South Florida, where my father originates from. Never thought of that, but it happened. I live near Park Road, like you do, in Bamboo Mobile Home Park. My last job was maintenance director. Now I'm self-employed, and I'm looking forward to work with you all.
Hi, my name is Loretta Robinson. I live on this next street over, Pembroke Park. I'm an accounts payable manager. I work for a hospitality company called Group Hospitality. I've been there now almost about 5 months. Prior to that, I used to work at the Hard Rock as the accounts payable manager for like 7 years. I'm glad to be here, and I'll assist any way that I can.
Great.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chanel Brown. I am a risk manager for the Healthcare District of Palm Beach County. I'm also Jamaican, and I also do live in Pembroke Park, and I'm happy to be here.
Great. So I'm Heidi Siegel. I am the town planner. I joined the town staff in January. I have 22 years of South Florida planning experience. I grew up in Plantation, so not far from here, and my academic background's actually in historic preservation, which is saving of old homes, and I kind of fell backwards from that into planning 22 years ago. And I'm really excited for this journey in Pembroke Park and that we have a new board. I can tell you that we have some exciting projects coming down. That why it was important to get this board together. Hopefully within the next 6 months to a year, you will see new townhomes, perhaps a private recreation field for soccer, for both kids and adult soccer fields, as well as a Wawa gas station. And possibly, I've seen the plans, but I know that they're finalizing their negotiation, but because I've seen the plans, they become a public record, so I can share that with you. A Popeyes right here on Hallandale Beach Boulevard, and it would actually be a more new concept looking type building. And some other buildings that, people are talking to me about, and we'll see if they come through. So I think we're going to get very busy. And my job is to guide you through that process, and I'm here for you.
Hi, my name is Melissa Anderson. I am the town attorney. So I may or may not be here at every meeting, but I'm here this evening. A little bit later on, I'm going to give you a presentation on some of the basic laws having to do with being an advisory board member. I was born and raised in Broward County in Fort Lauderdale. I'm a board certified local government attorney. I've been practicing over 30 years, and I'm really happy to be here and working with everybody. Very excited to work with Heidi because she's awesome, and I know she's going to help do great things for the town. You guys want to introduce yourselves up there?
Hi, everyone. My name is Marlene Martel. I'm the town clerk, and we are assisting Heidi in being able to put together the meetings. So, and thank you very much for taking your time to be here tonight. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Susie. I'm assistant to the town clerk. I am here also assisting Heidi. I'm very excited. I've never been through this process. I've been here 2 years, and this is new to me, so I'll be learning with you guys. So I'm very excited, and if you have any questions, please feel free to call me.
And not with us tonight is our town manager. So he oversees the administration, day-to-day operations at the direction of the town commission. J.C. Jimenez, he'll be here for some meetings, but you have all of our contact information right in the front of your notebook, so you can reach out to any of us, and he is very accessible as well. So if you're just not getting through to me or you want a different opinion, feel free to always reach out to JC as well. He's very involved. We're actually going to skip to number 4 on the agenda so Melissa can head home. We had a very late night last night with our town commission meeting, so she's going to go over the legal aspects of the board with you, and then we'll get back into the board responsibilities.
So there is a short handout that I put in your notebook. I think it's in the colored section of the notebook. I'm not going to read this, but all of this is information for you, and it's important information. And I'm going to go through it, and you can always email me to ask, or call me for that matter, to ask me questions about anything legal, particularly if it has to do with government in the sunshine, public records, anything like that. I know it can be intimidating, and I am here to help. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Florida's government in the sunshine law. It's very basic. I have heard it called Florida Public Records and Government in the Sunshine Law. It gives, in terms of open records laws, it's one of the most broad and broadly interpreted as being in favor of public records in the country. So government in the sunshine in particular, what that means is this board conducts public business, and any business that's conducted by this board should be done in public. Basically meaning you guys can't meet in secret, and you won't, because we're going to call all the meetings. They have to be, minutes have to be taken, so that there's a record of what happened, and that you guys as individual board members cannot communicate about board business outside of this room. You can't do it. You could text Larita could text Renisha to say, how was your day? But she couldn't text her to say, what do you think about this issue that's coming in front of the board tomorrow night? Any business that's conducted by the board has to be done in the sunshine on the record. And it's a very important concept. So I think that's the most important concept of government in the sunshine to get across, that we all need to communicate with one another in the sunshine, in public, and that to do otherwise would be a violation of the government in the sunshine law. Again, you guys have any questions, please do not hesitate to stop me and ask now, or email me and ask later. Sure, go ahead.
So you can talk to us about anything, but the law would not allow me to say, listen, Renisha, Eric's going to vote this way. That would be breaking the sunshine law on my behalf and your behalf. But if you have questions about the application, you can talk to us. I just can't tell you what everyone else is asking me or talking to me about.
In other words, you can't use a staff member to communicate you can't communicate through a staff member to another board member. You can't get around the law that way. So if she knows how Eric is voting on something, she can't tell Renisha because she's communicating something that's outside the sunshine. It's very basic. Just don't talk about board business outside of this room. That's very easy. Public records is another law having to do with access, public access to government issues. And it's very similar, and anything that's produced by this board is going to be available for public review. Any emails that you might send to and from staff would be available for public review because it's a public record. Any texts that you might send to and from staff are also public record. So just keep in mind, I tell people when I'm advising them on these laws, don't put anything in an email that you don't want to read on the cover of the New York Times the next day. It just be conscious of what you put down because it is available for public viewing. Not that any people are going to run out and ask for it, but it is there. There's also an ethics component. Heidi and I were discussing this earlier. You're going to be required as an advisory board member to take a short course in ethics, and the overarching concept in ethics is your vote needs to be your vote. Somebody can't come to you and promise you something in return for your vote. It's got to be done based on your opinions, your analysis of the facts, your consideration of what is before you. It's an easy concept. You can't. Somebody can't give you something in order to vote a certain way. That's the most important ethics rule. And then Heidi, I think, is probably going to help you with this concept as you proceed, through the different projects that you're going to be reviewing. But one thing that I wanted to mention is, and one thing you're going to be hearing is, you as an advisory board and as the planning and zoning board are going to be making what are called quasi-judicial determinations. And all that means is you're going to be taking facts of a case, like the developments she was talking about. You're going to have applications for development come to you, and there's going to be facts that you're going to consider. They have to do certain things. They have to meet certain requirements. It has to look a certain way. In voting on whether you're going to recommend to the commission to approve that application, you're going to have to evaluate those facts and that's why you're making a quasi-judicial determination, as opposed to, and this is a little bit technical, I know, but it's important, as opposed to a purely legislative determination. A legislative determination, for instance, would be, an ordinance. When the commission passes an ordinance, that's a piece of legislation that applies broadly to everybody in the community. A quasi-judicial determination, what you guys are doing is taking a specific piece, an application to develop a specific piece of land in a certain way, and you're applying the facts to that application and making a decision based on those facts. So it's a judgment on your part. And that's why they call it quasi-judicial, because you're not judges, but you're making a judgment on the facts. And there are certain things that you're going to need to understand, the concept of competent and substantial evidence, which just means the evidence gives you enough confidence to make a decision on the application. You're presented with enough good evidence to make a decision on the application. Please just, you don't have to memorize this stuff, but I tried to make it as I've been practicing law 30 years, and so some of this stuff makes sense to me, but I know for people who don't practice law, it can be a bunch of mumbo jumbo. So just take a little bit of time, read through it. If you have questions, Heidi can answer your questions, I can answer your questions. And I think as you start going through these applications, it's gonna become clear to you what your role is. We're so happy to have you here. Thank you for taking time to volunteer. Truly, we are. We both. This is a year in this job for me, and Heidi just started. But we've both have been professionals, local government professionals in South Florida for many, many years. And this little town needs a lot of help, and we're very excited to be here and helping the town out. We're excited to have people involved because for many years, people have not been involved. Citizens have not been. So thank you for being here. And with that, I'm gonna depart because I want to go see my 11-year-old daughter. And so please forgive me, but I look forward to the next time.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll, what I'll do is I'm going to walk you through this binder. It has a lot of information. But what I want to remind you is with every application, we are going to give you all the facts, and we're going to walk you through the process and procedures. So the first tab, thanks, Melissa, talks a little bit about the board itself. So the board is appointed, as you know, by the town commission. You were each appointed by the town commission. And you have a term of office for 5 years. And it would be really great if we all worked together for the next 5 years. The paper that you see in front of you under this first tab comes from our Code of Ordinances. And I'll show you later where you can find this. And the Code of Ordinances lays out that there should be a selection of officers, including a chairperson and a vice chairperson. So at the end of this meeting, we'll discuss that, and you can elect those individuals if you would like, or we can wait for the next meeting. The Planning and Zoning Board is advisory to the commission. So every city is a little different, but in the town of Pembroke Park, you make a recommendation. So using the gas station as an example, and I'll use that throughout the night, you all review the application, but you want them to have more apple trees. Let's just make something up here. So you all will vote on that as a group. There's consensus. There's a majority vote. So I would then take that recommendation to the town commission, and ultimately they make that decision. So the town commission could look at the plans and say, well, the Planning and Zoning Board wants it to be approved with apple trees, but we want orange trees. And so they could go. Or they could be like, that's a great idea, Planning and Zoning Board, and they're going to approve it with the apple trees. So it's very advisory. It's not the final decision, but your recommendation typically carries a lot of weight. The commission appointed you so that you could advise them. It's not like they're going to dismiss your recommendations. Of course, things could get controversial and there's decisions made and we'll never understand why. But you have an important role of making that recommendation to the board. So if we go to the next tab, Susie, the comp plans?
The comprehensive plan, yes.
Where's the bound plans? It's okay. You're going to get your steps in today. Thank you. I just realized. So I'm going to go over some basic planning and zoning in the state of Florida. And Susie's going to bring down the comprehensive plan. And you certainly don't have to read it, but you should have it. So in Florida, planning is two-pronged. You have what we call the comprehensive plan and the zoning code. And you have this presentation printed out in front of you. And so this slide is very important. And what I would recommend that you do is next to the word comprehensive plan, write down the word what. Because the comprehensive, this slide that's on the screen, the comprehensive plan tells you what you can do, whereas the zoning code tells you how you can do it. So the comprehensive plan says it's okay to have a gas station on West Hallandale Beach Boulevard. But the zoning code says a gas station should be this big, it should have this many trees, it should have this kind of signage. So a comprehensive plan is the broad idea, and the zoning code is the nuts and bolts of how to make it happen. So in the state of Florida, the state says that the comprehensive plan trumps the zoning code. So if the comprehensive plan says you can't do something and the zoning code says you can't do it. My job as the town planner is to make sure those conflicts don't exist between the comp plan and the zoning code, but that's the big thing. So when I bring applications forward to you, I'm going to tell you it has a comprehensive plan designation of commerce and a zoning code designation of business. So this is the comprehensive plan map, or what we call the future land use map. Marlene, if you could go to the next slide. I think, keep going. Actually, I'm looking for the future land use map, so it should be next. So this, you have it in your book, though. This is the future land use map, and what it does is it designates the type, broadly again, of uses that can take place on each property in the town. So yeah.
It's like saying what could be zoned for commercial versus residential.
Correct. So say someone wants to rezone from commercial to residential. They don't just rezone to commercial to residential. They also need to make sure that it's consistent with the future land use map. So they would have to change it from, what do we call it here, commercial or commerce to medium density to allow townhomes or something like that. So you don't have to go and figure out what the designation is. I'm always going to give it to you. But you are responsible for making sure it meets the comprehensive plan and it's consistent with the map. So I'm sorry, if we can scroll back, I know it's back and forth in this presentation to 3.3, the one that has the website on it. Perfect. So I mentioned this before. If you go to the town's website and you click on government on the top, there will be a drop-down menu. You click on town planner, and then you click on planning maps and documents. It will come to this page. So you have a printed out copy, and now you have a printed out copy of the comprehensive plan, and I'll show you some details in that. But you can also go here and click on links where it is. So if you're questioning something, you want to read a little further on why are gas stations allowed, you can find more information here. It also, the zoning code, which I'm going to get to. So next slide. So this book that Susie just brought us is the comp plan. It's also on the screen here, just a snippet from it. The comprehensive plan is divided into different chapters. We are regulated by the state of Florida. We have to have all these chapters in it. And in fact, the state of Florida just made a new requirement for a new chapter for property rights. So I'll be working on that, and I'm going to bring it forward to you. You all will review it and make a recommendation to the town commission on that element. But you can see just on the example that I give on the screen, it talks about So again, like I said, these are broad concepts. So they're goals, objectives, and policies. They're saying that the town can have subdivision of land. But if I go into the zoning code, it's going to very specifically tell you how to subdivide land. So again, this is the what and not the how. So that's the comp plan in a nutshell. So if we can go 2 slides forward, because we already did the map. And like I said, I'm not trying to overwhelm you. I'm just trying to give you all the key terms that you're going to hear us talk about as we go through applications. And during these applications, definitely quiz me and ask the questions that you need to get to the level of understanding that makes you comfortable. So I mentioned we just used 2 examples. One is a change to the map, and another is when I'm going to work on the property rights element. So this is the way the process works. You, as the Planning and Zoning Board, or PZB, become what the state of Florida recognizes as the local planning agency. You all are still wearing the same clothes, you have the same names, you're sitting in the same seats, but Florida law requires us to call you the LPA, or local planning agency. So I will bring the recommended changes to the comprehensive plan to you. You all will either approve or deny, approve with recommendation conditions, and then I will take that to the town commission. The town commission has their what we call a first hearing, or a first reading of the ordinance. Because comprehensive plans are regulated by the state, I will then have to transmit it. That's the 3rd step, to the state. It used to be called community planning. Now they call it the Department of Economic Opportunity, but it's really the planning agency for the state. It sounds like they're giving away a lot of money. They're not. And then they send it back to the Broward County Planning Council, and then finally we go back to the town commission. So the comprehensive plan amendment process is probably one of the longer processes that we deal with. It can take about 6 to 8 months by the time we get through the process, from starting to review it at my desk to going all the way through that process I just explained. So now moving on to the zoning code. Next slide, please. So just like with the comprehensive plan, you can go to the website for the town. The code is pretty thick. It's not something I'm necessarily going to print out for you. If you prefer it printed out, I can definitely do that. But it's really user-friendly. And you can see this link here. And after this meeting, I'm going to send you the link in the email so you have it directly. And if we go to the next slide, when you go to the link, this is what the zoning code looks like. So this is an example of the business district. And you can see it lays out the permitted uses. And it's cut off here at the side, but one of the nice things is you can have, there's a search feature. So you want to find out regulations on gas stations, you just type in gas stations, and it will give you all the links in our code to gas stations. But again, you're going to receive a staff report from me, and I'm going to lay out all of those relevant sections of the code. But you're always encouraged to dive deeper, get a deeper understanding of it. But this is what the code looks like. So if you go to the next tab in your book, you should have the zoning map. And it looks very similar to the future land use map, but it's a little more specific, because it's telling you exactly, this gets you to the how of how to do things. So it's no longer that you can have just residential, but this can only be a mobile home park, where it says T1. It's called our trailer district, T1. So it links back into that zoning code. All the red you see on this map is the B1. So that links to everything that we just looked at, and it tells you what you can do in those districts. This also is a good map, as well as the other one, to understand the boundaries of the town. They're very odd. I always say it looks like a broken dumbbell, like kind of like to the side there. But in general, the purple areas are the industrial, the yellow are the mobile home parks, the orange are where you have our townhomes and apartments, and the green is our park spaces. So it's pretty simple. We're a small town and simple in that sense. There's a couple other changes differences. And the B one, I think I said already, the red is the commercial where you can have your businesses. Right on Hallandale, a little bit on Pembroke Road, like where the Wendy's and the shopping center is, right there behind the racetrack. That's commercial. Also, in front of the Trinity Mobile Home Park, there's a commercial parcel over there and the gas station across the street. And then along 95, but only to the south of Hallandale Beach Boulevard, where the Advanced Auto Parts, I always confuse the names of that business, and then Scarlett's and all of that. And I wanted to bring that up. So so you have the auto store, right? Then you have a couple stores and then Scarlett's. And up to the edge of Scarlett's is a special district. And then it picks up again to be just our general business district. That special district is our adult entertainment district. And that is the only place in town where you can have adult entertainment type businesses. So be it novelty stores or strip clubs. So you can see that on the map. It's a little pink right there off to the side here.
There's B1A.
Yeah.
That would be a red light.
Right. But we made it a pink. It's South Florida. It's a pink light district. You got it. Right. So it's B1A, business adult uses, is how it's in the code. Yeah. One of the things that I am starting to discuss with the town commission, and they'll give the general okay, and then it comes back to you for that recommendation, is to take that same type of land along 95 north of Hallandale Beach Boulevard, but south of Pembroke Road. They used to call it Antiques Row here, and perhaps changing that to commercial, because right now it's only industrial. And maybe looking at the town improving our water and sewer service there and attracting maybe a hotel or an office park or something else that you would see anywhere else along 95 from Hollywood all the way to downtown Miami, right? You go down, if you drive south to downtown Miami, you see hotels, you see apartment buildings, you see all those type of things. Because what that would do in turn would be increase our tax base here in town, because we don't make that much money off of these small industrial spaces. So that's something that hopefully in the next year you'll be working on, which is really exciting because it's planning for the future. That's like making a 10 to 20 year plan for the town, and that's pretty exciting. Yes?
So that means that the zoning has to be changed.
Correct.
So there will be a process for that.
For that and a land use change. So it would be both those processes, the one that goes all the way to the state, and I'm going to show you what happens with the zoning change. In fact, you can go to the next slide. And so the land use change, remember it had 5 steps, I think, and we go to the state and the Broward County Planning Council. State law allows zoning to stay local, that we don't have to go to the state for that. So for a zoning change or an amendment to the zoning code, so say now we don't want to allow Wawas in town, so we want to get rid of gas stations, so we're going to amend the code or something like that. It would go to the Planning and Zoning Board first, then to the Town Commission. They read the ordinance once, they discuss it, and then it comes back to the Town Commission the next month for a public hearing, and that's when they do the final vote. So a rezoning or an amendment to the zoning code can go a lot quicker. So what are some other things that you're going to see at the board? Next slide, please. Is a special exception. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's not this big technical term. It's something that's a little different that we want to make an exception for. So in our code, in the industrial area, we require a special exception for not a mechanic, but for an auto body that does frame work. So why? Because they make noise, they do the welding, they do the painting. So there's some noxious odor, there could be some things. So something that might might need to look a little extra at, because the other kind can just come in and get a business tax license and open up a mechanic shop. But if it's something that's going to cause a little concern, we just want to look at it a little closer. It will come to you as the Planning and Zoning Board, and you'll look at it. So an example that happened right when I got here, we had a different board, was for a contractor shop to go into we have a very small little district called C1, and to go in there. And the reason why is just to make sure that everything was happening inside. It backs up to West Park where the homes are. So to make sure it wasn't a nuisance. And so the Planning and Zoning Board looks at it and then makes a recommendation to the Town Commission. So you'll see those type of applications as well. Again, you'll get a staff report from me. We'll lay out all the requirements of the code and whether they meet them or not. And you as a board, you can't go way outside of the code, but you can say, this use can be allowed, but we want more orange trees. You can because we need them to make it smell nicer. I don't know. I'm making this orange tree thing up. It's easy. But, because this is a business that will have some smells to it, we think they should do that. And you can do that. So and this is when you call me before the meeting and say, hey, Heidi, I have this idea. I'm not really comfortable with this use. But I think if we do a couple extra things and then we can talk about it and I can kind of advise you on how far you can push it and those type of things.
I would think there could be
Speak into the mic, please.
it's a concern if, say we have a food processing business and then you allow a polluting business right next to it.
Correct.
There's some considerations.
Yes. And in fact, some of those businesses, going back to the auto body off the top of my head in the code, they can't be within, I think, 100 feet of each other. So you can't have one after the other because of that kind of issue. And then some uses can't be within a certain amount of feet from a residential use. So they might, because some of this purple area backs up to some of our mobile home parks, we want to try to protect them from the noise and the odor and the other things that go on. And that's what you'll find in your staff report is all, they achieve this, they don't achieve this, this is a concern, and you guys run with it. So the next slide, I keep saying staff report, it's not a real one. It's actually for a different process in town. But you'll get a report from me that will have everything, all the code requirements, everything laid out for you to read before the meeting. Generally, what I try to do is to get you the what we call the board packet for a meeting about 3 to 4 days beforehand. If we can do a week, I do a week. Sometimes it's hard to get them to you, but it will have an agenda, a staff report for every item, and then plans like this. Now, I know a lot of people are going to electronic plans, but I highly recommend in the beginning we start with paper plans. And as you all become comfortable, you give me some of you might want to still get paper plans. Some of you might feel comfortable with getting it electronic as a PDF. But I think it's good in the beginning to have paper plans. So this is an example of the townhomes that might eventually come to you. They're trying to work out some sewer issues, so it's taking them a little longer. And I won't bring it forward until it's cooked, until it's a viable project. I'm not going to waste your time. It's funny, I didn't put that in the presentation, but I should explain that. We have an internal process of staff called the Development Review Committee. And we look at it from that technical standpoint. Can they flush the toilets? Can they water the grass? Can the fire truck get in there? Does it meet all the zoning code requirements? So we do all of this behind the scenes. So by the time it gets to you, it's something that can be built and it meets the code. Because what, in my experience, I hate to happen is it goes all the way through your process. The town commission looks at it. Then it goes for a building permit, and the fire marshal's like, I can't get a fire truck in here, and they have to go all the way back. It doesn't make the town look good. We're not business friendly if we do that. So right now, this is at the DRC level, and what you'll get in these sets of plans, and you'll learn these terms before you know it, is the site plan, which basically shows how the buildings are laid out, the driveways are laid out. You'll get landscape plans. You'll get floor plans, so you can see kind of how the units look inside. Even though you don't really regulate what happens inside, it helps you understand what's going on. So I live in Hollywood now, and I actually saw something on one of the neighborhood boards the other day, and it was a really interesting way for a planning and zoning board member to look at something. It's like 47 new apartments going in, but they said 184 toilets. So what they were saying is basically it's impacting our infrastructure. They were against the project, and they were like being very exact. It's not just about the building, it's all right, but what's happening. And I wanted to show you, I don't know, maybe this set doesn't have it. Oh, here it is. And then you would get the elevation. So one of the things that you also look at is the design of the project. So you can say, I think this is a little flat and boring. Can you add some more detail to it? More windows, more balconies. I don't like the way the roof looks. That's your job to do, is to really analyze this. Because think about it. These buildings are being built, and they're staying in the town for a very long time. And your job is to kind of create the future of the town. So you'll get plans like this and a staff report, and you'll have a few days to review it. Call me, go over any questions you might have. I always like if you have some tough questions, let me know ahead of time so I can research them. Because the board functions better. And it's not, I can do it on the fly, but it will give me time to think about it. Sometimes I have to go to Melissa and get a legal opinion about something. So I want to have that answer for you. And I know sometimes you want to ask that question publicly because you want to put the applicant on the spot, or, you want the rest of the board to consider your thought process. So if you have like one of those tough ones, we like to know ahead of time just so we can be prepared for you. It helps us support you better. So next slide, please. So just like with the special exception, if it's just a site plan, like for these townhomes, it will come to you, and then it goes to the town commission. That's the process for it. So there's another approval process in town that you have nothing to do with, but impacts you a lot, and that's called a variance. And for our town code, there's a hearing officer. This is one person. He sits in this room like a judge, and he decides if someone will get a variance. So what is a variance? The town code says your building can only be 80 feet tall, but they want to go 90 feet. He decides if they can exceed the code, and that's called a variance. Typically, you see variances for height and setback. Setback is the side yard, basically, of a building, front yard or rear yard, from the building line to the property line. And usually people want to go closer to the property line. They want a bigger building. So he'll consider that variance. What will happen, I will have the variance go to the hearing officer first, because if they don't have the variance, there's no use of you looking at the plans, because the plans don't work. Then when I bring the site plan to you, I'm going to make sure it's informational to you about the variance. It doesn't mean you have to approve the site plan just because he approved the variance. But once he approves the variance, but you can't then say, no, only keep it at 80 feet if he approved it for 90. It can't be a condition. Yeah.
But other factors could be.
Other factors could be, correct. Yeah, it's a little disjointed, but it's the town process for now. So you don't consider variance, you don't make decisions on variances, but pay attention to the variances as you review site plans. So that's really what you're going to do in a nutshell. And I know it's a lot of information, new terms, but I'm confident you all have the interest to get on board and learn as we go together. So we already did number 4, which is government in the sunshine. So the next is to consider the election of a chair and a vice chair. And the chair would run the meetings. And if the chair was not here, the vice chair would step in. Or if the chair has a conflict on a certain application, the vice chair would take over. Generally, the meetings are run by Robert's Rules of Order. And our job as the clerk, the town attorney, and myself as the planner are to guide you on those, remind you, you need a motion, you need to allow for public comment. Those, we're here, we're not going to, like I said, we're not going to hang you out to dry. We're not going to let you make mistakes. But the chair's job is to keep the meeting going, to follow the agenda, to announce the items, to call on other members of the board to speak, and just keep it orderly. So if anyone is interested in being the chair, please speak up, or the vice chair, or if you want to just throw someone else under the bus because you just met them.
I'll do the chair.
You'd like to be the chair?
Very good.
And you'd like to be vice chair? So how would you like us to do this, clerk? A motion or just
We vote
by
on it, or-
acclamation? We have a chair, we have a volunteers for chair and vice chair.
Yeah, you have a volunteer for chair and vice chair, and then if everybody says, if nobody has any objection, all in favor for the chair and all in favor for the vice chair, and then that's it.
Okay?
I'm in favor.
So all in favor for Shanil for chair? Yes? All in favor? And all in favor for, oh my gosh, Larita, I'm sorry, I just blanked on your name. Larita, all in favor of Larita for vice chair? Perfect. This is awesome. Thank you both for volunteering. So, Shania, I'll sit with you before the next meeting and we can do a Zoom during lunch breaks and I'll walk you through the agenda and, all of that just so you feel comfortable running the meeting.
Okay.
I'm happy to do that. And then the final item is discussion of a regular meeting and day and time. So I wanted to share this with you. I would like to recommend, we will only meet when we have applications or other planning items to discuss. The code doesn't, some city codes have the day and time already spelled out, ours doesn't. But I think it's good for all of our calendars if we pick a day and time so that you always have it on your calendar and worst case scenario, it doesn't happen. The way the town works, because everything that you're going to see here goes to the town commission. Before the town commission sees something on their regular meeting, which is always the second Wednesday of every month, they have a workshop meeting, which is the fourth Wednesday of the preceding month. So we had a meeting last night, September 8th. All the items that they voted on at the September 8th meeting, they discussed at the August 25th meeting. What I'd like to recommend is the first Wednesday of the month is planning and zoning. And the reason why is it would give me as staff, and right now I'm a one-woman show, it would give me time as staff to make sure I get it on the workshop meeting through 2 or 3 weeks behind, so we can keep things moving. So say we meet the first Wednesday of October, I'm able to get to the fourth Wednesday in October workshop meeting, I talk to the commission about it, and then the second Wednesday in November, they vote on it. And to me, that is business friendly because I can turn around and tell the applicants 1 month from the Planning and Zoning Board, you might have approval. Otherwise, it pushes, if we do any other week, I was playing with the calendar today, and if we push it to any other week, that conversation with the applicant becomes 6 weeks after Planning and Zoning, you might have approval, 7 weeks. So this way, it kind of keeps things moving forward because our job is to start to make things happen in the town. So
So first week in every month.
First Wednesday of every month.
All right.
Can we do first week, but not Wednesday?
Yeah. Any,
What
it's-
day would you like to do? Thursdays or Fridays?
generally, I try not to do city meetings on Friday nights.
I'm flexible. Thursdays.
Great. I'm just trying to avoid that second week because we have commission, like this, like last night, tonight, and our brains are fried.
Feel about Thursdays?
I'm okay with Thursdays. Yeah.
Good on Thursday.
We're great on Thursdays, so our meetings will be the first Thursday of every month. What's that?
Yeah, it would be nice.
Okay. You want
So
to,
would it be, I'm sorry?
so if you want to ask if all in favor?
Okay, I'm sorry. All in favor for us to have our meetings on Thursday, the first week of every month?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion to approve?
Yes. Great. Good job. Look at you.
I hear it all day.
Yeah. Oh, that's true, because you work for a county agency, so you hear it all day. That's great. That's great. You'll be able to guide us.
Perfect then.
All right. So is there any other questions, anything that you would like to learn more about at the next meeting? Yeah.
I do. That was my next question. Would it always be at 6?
I think 6 is a good time,
Okay.
because then if it goes late, it doesn't go too late.
Too late, right?
You're right,
Yeah.
in my experience. All right. So I don't know necessarily if we will have a meeting in October. I am trying to get that comprehensive plan amendment done, so I might be able to be here in October with it, which would be nice. It would be nice to have a meeting where it's kind of just us. You don't have the applicants here, those type of things. So I'll stay in touch with you about it within the next couple weeks, so you know whether to take it off your calendar or not. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. So they're here. Great question. So they're here. They hear everything you say. You can ask them questions. Typically, I will do a short presentation just about this meets the code, all those things that are kind of like the highlights of the staff report. And then typically they'll do a presentation, and they like to bring in the big shiny pictures of the Wawa and the Popeyes, and they just want to confuse you with the pretty pictures and not the apples or orange trees and, all of those things. So yes, they'll be here. I encourage them to make presentations. You can ask questions directly of them. Going back to what Melissa talked about, you can't talk to them before the meeting. Everything needs to happen here in the room. All right?
Do you recommend we get that Robert's Rules, that book there? Is that a great help for the way we function?
I'll find a cheat sheet online to share with you all, but I don't think you need to go really in depth about it. With Robert's Rules, when it starts to get sticky, is because the board's not getting along and someone's trying to manipulate something. I think you all are going to work great together. You all have
I think we do.
yeah.
Do we have to have a quorum for us to,
Yes, so a
Have a
quorum
meeting?
will be 3.
okay?
Yes. And anything else?
This is straightforward.
Yeah, it will be fun.
We'll make it fly.
Yeah, it's really going to be a good ride, because I see what's coming down in the town, and it's going to be some really neat stuff. And, being in my side of the business, it's really neat. In 5 years, you drive down the street and you point out to someone and be like, I approve that. When Wawa opens, you'll be like, you see those extra apple trees? It's because I asked for them, So,
I think we have a great responsibility also for the future to make South Florida a more vibrant place.
yep.
I see the change. I started coming here in the 70s, and I was horrified when I looked at the architecture and how
Yeah.
things was laid out. It was so horrible. and how things have changed from the cultural influx we have had, especially from Latin America, have greatly improved the way things look.
Yeah,
And I think it would be fantastic to have like an input here.
yeah.
And our say on it.
And it is kind of a blank canvas here. And I know developers are really interested in our town. So we get calls every day, every day. People are really interested in coming in here and doing some good stuff.
If they don't tear my house down.
Don't worry about that. All right, so I think, Madam Chair, the next thing is to ask for a motion for adjournment.
Can I have a motion for adjournment for today's meeting? Second? Thank you.
All in favor?
All in favor?
All right, great, thank you.